guys, welcome to Big Sister. Hope you guys have been having a wonderful week. I am busy. I am doing so much. I am exhausted. I am so exhausted. But guys, I just want to get on here and just talk with you about a topic that I hope does not offend anyone. It is not meant to offend anybody. Okay, but it needs to be addressed and talked about. Now, I am a black woman. So therefore, when I'm speaking and I address anything about black women, sometimes that's going to come off wrong with other black women, because there's a code that you're not supposed to say anything about your sisters. You're not supposed to speak on certain things, and if you do, you're a pick-me-sha and you are a sellout, especially if you're talking about anything about black culture and things that can be changed. But I believe that if we want any changes, before we're looking into society, and if you're before you look at any other race to try to respect you and treat you right, and before you expect any other person within your community to respect you, you have to first look in the mirror. You have to start within your community. We have to start correcting one another. And if we're not doing that and we're not calling each other out on things that's incorrect, then what's the point? What's the point? You see, we can't go out there and we're saying, well, this needs to be fixed and that needs to be fixed in the community, and then we're doing the same things. We can't have a problem with saying people are white people or non-black people are racist, and they're calling you the N-word and they're saying this and that, but then you turn around and you're calling yourself that. If you don't respect yourself enough to know that this word, the N-word, wigger with an N, was something that was never a term of endearment, if you don't have it within yourself to say, we're not going to use this word, this is not how we address one another, rather than turn an insult into a term of endearment. You don't hear white people calling each other any white derogatory terms. You don't hear Asian people calling each other or embracing any derogatory terms that's been used to describe them as a people, and saying, oh, well, this is who we are and it means something different within us. That is insanity and that is stupidity. So if we're not doing that as black people, then you cannot expect any other race to treat you better than you treat yourself. You can't say, oh, there's violence within our community, and then you have an issue with violence, but you keep silent and turn a blind eye when you're listening to someone who looks like you being beaten in the next house over from you, or someone is being assaulted in the street and you don't do anything about it. Oh, it's okay though if it's us doing it. That is nonsense. So I want to talk about the loudness. We're going to talk about the ladies for a while. Black women, we got to talk about, why are you so loud? Why so loud? Okay? If I want to be funny, I'll say, why so loud, oh brown cow? But okay. But anyway, the point I'm saying is, why so loud? Now, this is not everybody, but let's talk about the fact that this is what we see a lot on television. This is the type of black woman we're seeing a lot on news channels when they're interviewing people. You're not going to see very often the black intellectuals. You get highlights of them, but what you're going to get most of the times are the loud ones. But don't be mistaken, there are loud people like that. If black people are honest, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You grew up around black people, you know that there are people who are loud like this. Whether it's in your household or not in your household, you know there are black people who behave in this manner. Now, when I was growing up, loud women was just not a thing in my house. My mother wasn't a loud person. I didn't hear profanities in my house. I grew up with my mom and my dad, grew up with my 3 brothers. So it was just, I have an older brother, but he was, prior to my dad meeting my mom, he had a child when he was younger, like a teen or something, I think, or young adult. But I knew him. So I have 3 brothers, but I grew up with 2 of them, in the house. So we have our parents, and there was no profanity, there was no cursing, nothing like that. When I get to my relative's house, I go to my cousin's house, there's no loudness, nothing like that. The people that we associated with, they were not loud, carousing people. The most loudness you're going to hear in my house is when we all get together. And I grew up, in the 80s, so when my mom will set the VCR to record all the soap operas, and everybody will come home after work or school, and we sit together in the living room, we're watching it, and we're excited by the latest drama, whether we're watching Dynasty, Falcon Crest, all those things, S.A. Knots Landing, those shows, whatever Blake and Crystal and those people and Fallon were doing, oh my God, that's going to be the excitement. Or a soccer game, a football game, soccer, all of that, racing. There's a reason why we're being loud in the house. But just loud talking, disrespecting one another, no. I didn't hear it. My brothers never called me out my name. We didn't. And believe me, we had fights as brothers and sisters, regular. Your brothers get on your nerve, your sister get on your nerves, but never ever. So a lot of times, guys, that loudness is going to come from your environment. Black people who grew up like that, they're not going to be loud. But then when you hear specifically, especially the black women, so loud, like the voice is like, it's always at this octave right here, like this, when they talking. Even when they're talking about, they may be talking about beauty advice. The voice takes this octave right here, this type of talk right here, and kind of loud like that. Why? We have to be very mindful of that tone. Bring it down, guys. Sometimes with me, I have to pay attention to my voice because I've spent 23 years in the military. I retired from the military. So I do have a naturally deep voice, and as I got older, I realized it's more rich, I guess. That's the only way to describe it. But being in the military and having been in a leadership position for so long and all of that, being used to doing briefings and stuff, sometimes I sound very, I don't know, like I pontificate, and I don't mean to do that. So sometimes I try to work on that. I'm not trying to pontificate or sound as rigid as I may sound sometimes in my videos. But that is not a loudness thing. It's just a soldier thing that could be softened up. But we have to look at that. And I believe a lot of times why black women are so loud is because a lot of black women, you grew up in an environment where people were loud. Your mother was loud, your aunts are loud, and loud is just a norm. If you look at TikTok, social media it's like a treasure of case studies. You can look and see videos that people do, black people on TikTok, and you will find a lot of times in a certain group within a demographic, inside their house is chaotic. The mother's yelling, the aunts are yelling, they talk very loud and rough to their babies, their children. If you look at their children, sometimes the children already look old in the face. The children look hard. And a lot of times that's because when the mothers were pregnant, she was still loud. Some of them were drinking. Now, some of that could be the older you are and you have a baby, your child could look older. But a lot of times there's such high stress. The mother, if she's going out, she's fighting and everything. The baby just come out really just looking like Mr. Ernest already, or Miss Shirley. That baby look old in the face, and I'm not being mean against the baby. It's not the child's fault, but the child does not have youth, because in my opinion, it has a lot to do with, this is not a medical thing, but what the mother was doing while she was pregnant, or the stressors. You have to be aware of yourself. Yes, you may have grown up where you did not get that training in how to speak and how to conduct yourself and how to talk to people, but we can't sit there and blame mom, dad, auntie, environments. It may be a reality of why you are the way that you are, but once you are an adult, you now have to take that responsibility of looking in the mirror, having that self-reflection, understanding where it came from, or going through counseling to discover where it came from. Whether you can go in and speak to a psychologist or speak to a social, like a counselor, you can go sit with those people and talk. Or now you guys are getting free advice online. Guys, understand that this wealth of where you have actual psychologists and specialists giving free advice on YouTube and these social media platforms, that is like a gift, because that was not always there, and who's to say it will always be there. And if you need something that's more tailored to yourself, you can reach out to these specialists and talk to them one-on-one for a fee, which is probably going to be significantly cheaper than what you would pay through your insurance. But anyway, there's always a way and always an opportunity to grow. But what is hard, what people will realize is when you have to make those changes and turn those habits around, it's very difficult. But there's a loudness that I believe comes from the environment. Being loud. People next door, next to you in your neighborhood is being loud. You grow up in a house where loud and fighting and being boisterous is normal, where the women are domineering. And also, I would say a lot of times the men can be chaotic too, but a lot of times you'll find black women are louder and a lot more aggressive than the men. That is just my opinion. They're loud. A lot of times that man will sit there and not say a word. Now you have some black men that will get into the argument with you, but he just got to that point, or he was just, he's already kind of like a hothead. So he's going to go there with you because he was raised seeing men probably beating women and yelling at women. But most of the times, if you really pay attention, you'll see that black man just trying to say what he needs to say, or being calm or talking. He's a man of few words, while his girlfriend or his wife or whoever she is, the sister, mom, is yelling, screaming, calling him out his name. And this is often things that's done from he was a young boy, the abusive language. So they will think that this behavior is normal. And this is where you find when there is any kind of conflict, these women do not know how to reason. They don't know how to listen. They don't know how to use spatial thinking. They have no reasoning skills, and all they understand is being loud and chaotic. And a lot of times these women get very excited off of that. The only way to disarm them is to give them nothing and just walk away from them. All right? And that will be a whole nother video. That's anybody in general, but I would tell you, a lot of times chaotic black women, the ones who are this way, who are loud, they feed off of that anger. They feed off of chaos. They feed off of you just saying something back to them. They need that, and they thrive off of it. And then they start to get they gaslight you, and they get really condescending, and they talk to you crazy and everything. And a lot of times they're really, really, some of them are even looking for you to hit them because they think this is how it should be, so that they can fight and roll and howl and carry on, because they think that chaos is normal when it's really not. It's not normal at all. So let's think about that for a second, guys. Let's think about what we're looking at and what we're dealing with. The loudness. And let me tell you another thing. Me speaking about this will get a lot of black women upset. And what will they do? Well, the classic move is to try to shame you, to make me feel that, will tell me something, right? To insult me. Is it the truth that I'm speaking? It is true. black women, these specific black women are loud, and they're the ones that the media and the powers that be are gonna have splashed all over the internet to represent all of us that are of the same shade. Sometimes you're wondering why when you go into a place, people are treating you a certain way. As a black person, you go in there, you're well dressed, you're well spoken, but you're being rejected or you're being treated a certain way. Yeah, sometimes it has to do with the fact that these individuals are in fact racist and everything, but a lot of times it is because Sharkeisha was in their establishment before you and behaved in a manner that set the standard and gave them the impression of the type of person you are before even getting to know you. Is that the right way for them to do it? No, but that's human nature. It's a defense mechanism. It's something that once someone, let's say if you were assaulted in some way, by a tall blonde guy with blue eyes, and you were attacked by a group of racist white people, I'm going to tell you something. What is going to happen is you are going to immediately develop a distrust of white people, blonde hair, who looks a certain way because of your experience. And it is a trauma thing, and it's also a defense mechanism. You go into protective mode to say, hey, if I see these people, I need to be careful. I can't trust them. I need to keep as much distance as possible. Another thing that could be the reason why that contributes to the loudness may be, again, if you grew up in an environment where it's unstable, it's not safe, you as a black person, black woman, will feel as if you have to be in protective mode. You had to get loud in order to cause for people to back off, to defend yourself. But what has happened is, even though it worked to keep people off of you, you being loud, you having to be aggressive to protect yourself in an environment where you grew up that wasn't safe and you were not protected, you now continue to keep this armor on in places where you don't need to be. So when there's people trying to get to know you, people who are actually genuine, you don't know how to do this because you're always in a battle mode. And again, hurt within your own home, where you were broken, you were innocent, you were trusting as a child, a little girl, some things happened to you, and you lost that trust, and you realize, okay, I have to be tough, I have to have this exterior in order to get ahead and to protect myself, which for that time may have worked, but then you kept it up. Now you have children, you don't realize you're loud, you're rough, you're crude, you're rigid, you are very steel-like, very masculine, and loud, and just behaving this way. And what it causes people to do, they begin to dehumanize you. They see you as less than. They see you as subhuman. You're not human. You're loud. Black people are strong. Okay? So even black women, we're strong. But if you're always in your masculine role, then when someone of a different race sees you, number one, they're looking at perhaps how the black man treats you. Well, the black man is treating you poorly. They're not handling you well. Well, if they have to handle you like that, how is someone else in another race going to handle you? Well, they are sometimes going to feel like they need to handle you in a way that's rough and disrespectful, because they feel like, oh, that's your love language. That's how you talk, which is not necessarily true. And let me tell you another thing before I go about when you're just too loud and you're so rigid and you're so hardened on the outside and loud. When someone loves you, now these women may say all black men suck and I'm going to go over to the other side. I'm going to go and I'm going to date a white man. I'm going to date an Asian man. But you know what? You take that loudness and that masculinity with you, and what you'll find that you're doing is you'll sing the praises of how well he treats you, but in fact, you are dominating him. Everything is going good for you because he's not aggressive. Everything is going good for you because he's not loud. But you are loud. You're aggressive. You may even be passive aggressive. You know how to stonewall him. You know how to get your own way. In addition to, you are loud. Now, sometimes that man will not pick you or choose you. But when he does, sometimes because they don't know how to deal with that type of stuff, and especially Asian culture, some of them are more... They're going to try to work through that or not say anything back. There's going to be that control that is there. All right. So, ladies, that's just something that you have to deal with. If you want to call me a pick-me-sha, go right ahead. I will not be responding to the nonsense. Whatever names you may want to call me, you can call me all the names you want to call me. For those of you who choose to call me those names, but one thing you cannot say is that I'm a liar. It is true that loudness is true. And all you have to do is start to do the work. It is hard work, because especially if you're used to it, but you need to just start to listen to yourself. Maybe even just use your phone and record your day. Just do a social experiment with yourself. And it may be a little bit hard to do, because maybe when you know the recording is going, you may try to sound different. So maybe you can ask a friend or someone that you're close to, or just yourself. Just listen to your environment first, and just put your phone down for about 20 minutes or so and let it record, and just listen to your home and your house and how you react, and you listen to yourself. And when you hear yourself, you have to now pinpoint, why do I behave this way? Why am I this way? Why am I impatient? What is triggering me? All these things you're going to have to look at. And when you look at it, now begins the work of how to change. Soften your voice. And it's not that you're being fake. Some people, this is who I am and I'm not going to be fake. No, that's not who you are. You're a product of your environment. You're a product of your environment. And it's not being fake, it's growth. That's all it is. So guys, let me know what you think about this. And don't forget to like, share, and to subscribe to my video. Peace.